Right, so as Israel continues to wage its genocide in Gaza, all in the name of defending itself from a territory it is already the occupier of course, it has been waging a propaganda war at the same time to get people on their side, to feel sorry for them, to pity them, playing the victims they always seem to do. And if you don't agree with them bombing the living hell out of a tiny strip of land where half the population are kids, well, they might just come along and call you an antisemite for it. But what of Israel's kids? Let's get them in on the propaganda act too. Well, in order to do that, Israel's got them to sing a song of peace perhaps, a song for the hostages that Hamas took maybe, a song to both sides to end the killing and call for a ceasefire. Well, that would embarrass a few world leaders, wouldn't it? But no, that wouldn't be in keeping with this hard-right, maniacal Israeli government of Benjamin Netanyahu and the Zionist hardliners he got into government with. No. The Israeli kids are singing all right, but these sickos have got their kids singing in celebration and support for the Israeli extermination of Palestinians in Gaza. Right, so we've seen plenty of propaganda come from the Israeli Defense Force, and we've ridiculed it for how easily things have been debunked, haven't we? Hamas laptops with their nefarious plans on them, they say, despite the keyboard being in Hebrew and not Arabic, and the charger lead happening to have an IDF serial number on it. Hamas tunnels under the hospitals that turned out to be water tanks. Weapon stashes behind highly magnetic MRI machines in hospitals. Lists of Hamas operatives which turned out to just be calendars, but having been written in Hebrew, they figure we in the West will just take their word for things. If you're taking any claims by the IDF at face value, unless it is admitting to what we're blatantly seeing them doing, exposed on social media for all to see in unedited, horrifying footage, then I'm going to bridge this earlier. But last week, the Israeli broadcaster, state broadcaster in Israel, Kan, uploaded a song to Twitter, or the site formerly known as, called the Friendship Song 2023, and we saw smiling, sweet faces of little children who were to sing this song of friendship, I suppose. Clue is in the name, surely. Well, you might think that, and sung in Hebrew, who are we to know different, until somebody comes along and happens to translate it, and you find out what Israel is actually getting these kids to sing. Here's the translation of the first verse. The kids singing this are young teens at best, possibly younger. So just picture that as you read these lines. Autumn night falls over the beach of Gaza. Planes are bombing. Destruction. Destruction. Look, the IDF is crossing the line to annihilate the swastika bearers. In another year there will be nothing there, and we will safely return to our homes. Within a year we will annihilate everyone, and then we will return to plough our fields. There's a chorus and another verse, but I think you get the point. The IDF crossing the line, well, repeatedly and genocidally in the images we see every single day as the death toll grows higher in Gaza. The people they are annihilating, apart from increasingly strong evidence, or form increasingly strong evidence that includes their own Israeli citizens under so-called Hannibal directives, being innocent Palestinians, mostly in the hope of taking out some Hamas operatives whilst doing so, but comparing them to the Nazis. Now, Jewish history and the Holocaust should never be forgotten. But equally, to weaponize that history, as this song appears to do, is utterly depraved, especially when you consider the Nakba, where 700,000 Palestinians were evicted from their lands by Israel in 1948, is arguably comparable insofar as Jewish people were evicted from their homes too during the Second World War. But then Israel have been threatening a second Nakba now, and having driven and are still driving innocent Gazans south, ethnic cleansing appears to be on their minds once more. So to be doing what they're doing, but invoking memories of Nazi atrocities against Jewish people, and accusing those they are displacing of being not comparable to the Jewish people of then, but their oppressors, well, it's one of the most offensive playing the victim cards I've ever seen them do. Here's the thing, though. Kan, having put this song out on the 19th of November, hurriedly pulled it again, without explanation, also having deleted it from their website. So why do that? Are you not pleased with this bloodthirsty utilisation of your own children to forward the Israeli government's cause? It's what Kan stand for. Like I said, they are the state broadcaster. They are a media mouthpiece for Netanyahu, basically. Well, they might have realised they'd fallen afoul of international law on this. Not the Geneva Conventions in this instance, but the Genocide Convention. Far less well known, but actually really, really important these days in the context of what we're witnessing, and it warrants a short digression. It's relevant, I promise. Now, the Genocide Convention came into being in 1951, and actually it brings us back to the events of the Holocaust again. Holocaust deniers might want to grip onto their seats tightly at this point, since this legislation completely debunks their awful opinions of that tragedy. And the reason for that is because by 1951 there was no legal definition for what happened during the Holocaust. Mass murder on that scale aimed at what we now clearly regard as a protected characteristic, a protected demographic, and being Jewish, had no legal definition. And there had to be one, to try people for crimes in connection with that, because clearly it was a crime on a scale previously unimaginable. In fact, the term genocide didn't even exist before 1944 and wasn't recognised as a crime until 1946, but it came into its own to define what happened to Jewish people during that war, and the Genocide Convention defines genocide in 5 acts and also lists 5 crimes that can be committed under the terms of the convention. So these form 2 of the articles of the Genocide Convention. The second article defines genocide, and the third article defines crimes that can be committed under the terms of the convention. There are 19 articles in the Genocide Convention in all. So if genocide itself is defined as the intent to destroy, in whole or in part, a national, ethnic, racial or religious group, then the 5 acts of genocide defined in the second article are killing members of the group, causing serious bodily or mental harm to members of the group, deliberately inflicting on the group conditions of life calculated to bring about their destruction, imposing measures intended to prevent births within the group, and forcibly transferring children of the group to another group. The third article lists the crimes, and this is where Cannes' decision to pull their Singing Kids vid might come into play, because the crimes under the Genocide Convention that people or organisations can be prosecuted under are the crime of committing genocide itself, obvious really, the crime of committing conspiracy to commit genocide, the direct and public incitement to commit genocide, attempting to commit genocide, and complicity in genocide. Now, I did think of that last crime any country currently giving Israel armaments might want to consider if they are guilty under the third article for being complicit in committing genocide, but I suppose we'll have to see if Israel choose to push the Gazan people into the Sinai, or kill them all for that matter, or for a case of that to be brought. We sincerely hope we never get to that point, of course. But Cannes, having published this video where kids are singing about annihilation of Palestinians, referred to as Nazis, and in another year there will be nothing there, well, it does look like they are committing incitement to genocide, and people have been prosecuted for this previously. The Nuremberg trials included people charged with this. There was a case in 2000 in Rwanda, Rwanda, where 3 politicians were convicted of it against the Tutsis, and a former Serbian politician was convicted of it in 2018 for acts he committed during the times of the Balkans War. So there are precedents. Now, according to the Electronic Intifada, the song, although broadcast by Cannes, was not produced by them, but was made for the Israel Victory Forum. Bit of on-the-nose name, that, by an organisation called the Civil Front. Nothing civilised about inciting genocide, really, is there? But this organisation is a vehicle for Ofer Rosenbaum, a pro-Israel campaigner who in 2020 was responsible for a billboard campaign in Tel Aviv depicting Palestinian Authority leader Mahmoud Abbas and Hamas leader Ismail Haniyeh kneeling on the ground, blindfolded, under the slogan, "Peace is only made with defeated enemies." Actually, it's achieved through dialogue and negotiations, but actions such as these are not the actions of an authority prepared to act in good faith, not prepared to back down, particularly when their entire ideology is built around a divine right to the land they occupy, and who accuse everyone else, all and sundry who say no to that, as being racists. That they are even prepared to weaponise their own kids, indoctrinate them with this filth, this cheerleading for mass murder, as they clearly are in this video, shows there's no low they won't actually stoop to. And actually a change of Israeli government is certainly needed to get any sense of any progression. But first of all, we need a ceasefire, not further incitement. Thanks for watching. I hope you found this video useful. Please like, share and subscribe if you did. More content out daily. Please do have your say on this video in the comments below and be part of the conversation. Meanwhile, here's a video recommendation where the RAF are flying in and out of Gaza and the government won't tell us what they're up to. With all the talk of genocide at the moment, they better not be involving themselves without us knowing. This has to be scrutinised. How can the government dodge that? Well, they are Tories. It's not our experts now. I'll hopefully catch you on the next vid. Cheers, folks.